to another exciting episode of Way of the Brush with me, your host, Kris, aka Mini Wargamer Kris, aka the Name Butcher, aka Hey You, Get Off My Lawn. Way of the Brush, the most informative 120 minutes on the internet on the wargaming lifestyle. We'll talk about painting, terrain, conversions, and everything under the sun. We usually delve into a lot of painting talk, as well as a lot of what's under the sun, meaning any topics will be discussed, anything and everything. So, if you're a first-time viewer, beware, as we can go off the rails pretty darn early, pretty darn quickly. So, of course, if you are attending live, you can ask your questions over in the chat, whichever direction it might be in. It might even be up here. I have no idea. And of course, if you're not able to attend live, you can also send your questions to Kris@miniwargaming.com. It's Kris. People keep spelling my name wrong. It's all right, though. It's in the description below. You can send your email there. And of course, if you're going to attach pictures, I fully welcome that. But send them as attachments in the email. Don't send it off as links off to other sites, because it's just a pain. And oftentimes there's ads, and it's a pain. It's just a pain. And of course, also in the description below is a link to wayofthebrush.com. That is the central hub of all this silliness. It has all the links to all the social media, the Discord, everything like that. Discord's been fantastic. And also links for t-shirts. Want to get yourself a t-shirt? Look like a connoisseur of all that is good and holy in this world. They're wearing a Way of the Brush t-shirt. Of course, if you've purchased yourself a shirt, send a picture of yourself in your shirt, and I will add it to the Monkey Shrine, which is also at wayofthebrush.com. Just click the little tab over, and you'll see it. There's a bunch of stuff going on there. And of course, also on the site is links to Patreon. Patreon support has been fantastic. I want to say a big thank you to all my patrons who currently support me, as without them, a lot of the upgrades and upkeep just wouldn't be done. And so a big thank you to them. And of course, they also help for whenever we do giveaways and stuff like that. So, we try and have fun with the Patreon. And of course, if you're not able to support monetarily, liking, subscribing, commenting, thumbing up the video, and following, and all that other live streaming stuff, I don't know. That all helps. The sharing and the commenting and the liking, those all help greatly. So if you think this is worth a thumb up, hey, give it a thumb up. And also big thank you to Carl, aka Guymere Alfer, aka Beer and Blood Bowl. That's his YouTube channel. Check him out if you love yourself some beer and you love yourself some Blood Bowl, because that's where it's at. We always say thank you to Carl for taking the time out of his busy schedule to create the email jingles that play before every email segment. And without that, the show just wouldn't be that much fun. And, the jingles always bring a smile to our face, at least my face, or blow at your eardrums, one of the two. So, big thank you to him. Always, always, always. Much love. Me love you long time, Carl. Me love you long time. Carl's probably like, no, don't do that, Kris. That's weird. Enforcer 357. Oh boy, it's monkey time. Ghost of Starman Deluxe. Kris is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to. I do. Reese Taylor, like Gandalf, just like Sir Ian McKellen. Christopher Peary. Hey, it's my boy, Kris. Hey, Kris. Doctor. Geofits 07, Kris. Or no, that's a salute. Yeah, that's right. See, I'll eventually get all of this lingo down. It's like a little salute thingy. It's a 07. Apparently it's a salute, right? It's a salute. Salute. There we go. Sophie Wild. Hey, y'all. Hey, Sophie. Reese Taylor, only with a better mustache. A mustache? Geofits, forgot to email pictures of my contrasted skinks, but they are in the work in progress gallery on Discord. Cool. So if anybody wants to check out Geofits' contrasted skinks, he painted with contrast. Now, as some might guess from the thumbnail, we will be talking a little bit about contrast. I think today will be, I don't know. I could say this the last time, but hopefully we're now that everybody's getting their hands on this stuff, now everybody's starting to see, okay, here we go. Let's do this. Let's do this. But for anybody else out there who has not gotten their hands on it and who are still really kind of curious about it, and maybe something else hasn't been quite covered, maybe we'll get to that today. I did bring the contrast paints home so that I can do some, because I actually have my Deepkin, my Idneth Deepkin, and I made a Twitter post the other day that I was priming these guys up. So they're primed in Gray Seer. So I'm still kind of like thinking about what the color scheme I want to do for them. I haven't nailed that down yet, but I'm definitely going to use Ethermatic Blue for their skin. Definitely going that route. Definitely. Most likely. Like 99.9% almost positive. Sophie Wild, hey y'all. Ooh, we're spamming comments. Sir Peanut Butter, howdy peeps. The Kinjin over on Twitch. Hey Kris, thanks again for the airbrush recommendation. No problem, Kinjin. I think it's Kinjin, right? Kinjin? The Kinjin? Yeah. Jin was my favorite character in Tekken. I always loved his pants. How he had the leathery kind of pants, and then had like the flame up the leg. I always thought that was really cool, and the way he fights and everything. It was really cool. Yeah, apparently this is how he fights. Two Guns Painting. Hello, Kris. Greetings all. Greetings. Knitfink. Hello, everyone. Hello, Knitfink. Ebb and Flow. Blah. Ebb and Flow 386. Blah. 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 Sup, everybody? Sup? Matt Mayer. Always a good day when I can catch Way of the Brush live. Well, thank you. John Grammaticus. I seen that he just joined us on Twitch. Hey, everyone. Long time, no live show catching. Long time, no live. Ooh, long time. Me love long time. Reese Taylor. You on the coffee, Kris? I'm currently drinking Yorkshire biscuit tea. I haven't tried, at least I don't think I tried the Yorkshire biscuit tea. When I was over in the UK, I'm not a huge tea drinker, but I do enjoy some teas. And I tried English breakfast. That wasn't my cup of tea. Man, first thing in the morning, I'll take an Earl Grey over that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Earl Grey. But usually I drink a lot of green tea. I've been drinking green tea that is infused with blueberries. Oh, it's nice. It's nice. I like it. I can actually drink that one with like nothing. Cutting it with nothing. No sugars, no creams, nothing. Just straight. Just let it steep for a good 4 or 5 minutes. And bang, infuse all that flavor, slam that right back, and I'm a happy guy. George Hintz over on Twitch. Hey, happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, George. George, that's my brother George. Vengeance Blade. Hey, Kris. Hey, I like that name, Vengeance Blade. Or is it 13 Laid? John Grammaticus. Oh, he's talking to Reese. Reese Taylor. Yeah, John, tastes like you have a biscuit in your brew. Nathaniel, hey Kris, and monkeys at Kris. Will you be doing the live streams on Sundays now? No. Did I do one Sunday last week? I thought I did it on the regular day last week. I thought I did it on Saturday. No, the only reason I'm doing it today is because, well, I was thinking of doing it late yesterday, just because I was busy in the morning. The wife treated me to a pedicure. I had never done a pedicure before. And so I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. And so we went for the deluxe package, which was a full massage and mud and steam and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, so I figured, well, while I'm there, I might as well get my toes done. And yeah, I did my toes. Yeah, Kris has got some really nice nail polish going on his toes right now. My feet look pretty. They feel pretty. So yeah, you know, and of course I had to get a skull on my big toe. That confounded some of the girls. Thankfully, those girls were kind enough to humor me with doing something that was probably outside the norm for them. But yeah, they put a skull on my big toe for me. So because Kris is all about skulls, right? So anyway, but yeah, so Sundays, if I miss a Saturday and I feel like I really would like to do a show and of course, my wife is working today, so, I'm home with my kids. They're adults now. It's just a day. It's just a day, It's Father's Day, of course. Of course, my daughter tried to take my breakfast on me, but whatever. Vivian, howdy, every bubble. I haven't been painting much recently. Been working on political stuffs. Ooh, political stuff. Get serious already. Nice to see you again, though, Kris and monkeys. Yes, nice to see you again, Vivian. Peter Bothwick. Happy Paternal Monkey Day, everyone. Paternal? Happy paternal monkey. The paternal monkeys? Aaron Seach, what's everyone working on? Me, my third warband for Relic, Blade, Bones, and Darkness. Cool, yeah. I gotta get myself the rulebook. Because he had gotten, like, new rulebooks. Like, I'm pretty sure they were hardcover. Like, really nice books. And I was thinking, like, I keep forgetting to place the order. And you know what? Maybe after the show today, I'll remember to pick up a book. Because, yeah, I haven't picked up a book yet. But, yeah. Because when I was talking to Sean at Adepticon, and he had just gotten them in, or they were just on the way or something like that. He was hoping to get them by the time Adepticon was coming around, but apparently it didn't happen, and so, yeah. But either way, yeah, I gotta get the book, and I gotta get my faction painted up, because I gotta play me some Relic Blade. I like it. I mean, it's a really fun system, and it's a bit like, I liked War Machine, the models, the game. Pretty solid. Earlier edition, not the latest edition. And Relic Blade kind of has a similar type of vibe, but smaller. And so, yeah. Why do I feel like I'm talking like... John Grammaticus. Breakfast is a pretty generic name. Yorkshire tea is best. Yorkshire tea is best? Okay. Next time I'm looking for tea, I'll give it a shot. Nathaniel, I was waiting for the new We of the Brush episode yesterday. I suffered withdrawal symptoms bad. I need my fix, man. Needs my fix. Sophie, wow, did you enjoy your pamper day, Kris? I did. We went for the pedicures and everything like that. Then we went shopping. Checked out a new place. That basically they're all about the cannabis. And because it's legal here in Canada, before anybody's like, whoa, what the hell? It's in Canada. It's legal. So, you know. And, of course, this place was like, it was really kind of upscale. It was like walking into an Apple store of weed kind of thing. It was kind of funny, actually. But, yeah, so we checked it out, and, you know, lots of people. Of course, there was lots of people, you know, in the parking lot, you know, who were, you know, testing out the wares and, you know, stuff like that. But it was a pretty cool scene. Like, it was pretty cool. Enjoyed it. It was relaxing. Vengeance Blade. I gotta get a lot of. I get that a lot with my name format. Basically, yes, it does go by Blade, not 13 Lade. Excuse me. Enforcer 359. Kris, did you have did you have them use contrast on your toes? Should have. That'd have made a fun video, right? Getting contrast on my toes. Yeah, so, like, it's not like Kris is going to be, you know, regularly getting his toes painted or anything like that. I was, you know, because I was there, and, you know, I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. Whatever, right? And so, yeah, it's black nail polish. I think I posted a picture of it on Discord, I think. But anyway. John Grammaticus, open question to all. Given it it's Father's Day in the UK at least, and it's Father's Day today here in the North American side of things, and it being my first Father's Day as a father, ooh, congratulations. How do you get any hobby done with a newborn? Oof, that's a tough one, man. That's a tough one. Well, you know, don't worry about it, you know. The miniatures, they'll be there when you need them. You know? Take care of your little one, right? Don't worry about it. Put all your effort there. It only, you know, you'll work out a system. You'll work out a system. Because I know that, you know, a lot of people, you know, it's the real, you know, cliche of no time. You know, the baby doesn't let you sleep and, you know, what have you, right? And of course, you know, hopefully you and your spouse are, you know, you're obviously sharing time, and so that, you know, when one is taking care, one can rest, or, you know, go take care of something, and then the other one can, you know, rest and take care, and you know what I mean, and you're both you should be having a lot of fun with this little papoose running around, right? Well, not running around yet. Well, it's almost a one, right? So, but anyway, it's a lot of fun, and you know. yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it. Take care of that. Take care of that little baby. And yeah, the miniatures and the paint, they'll be there when you get back. And yeah, you'll find time. You'll figure it out. You know, you'll figure it out. But don't worry about it. Just take care of the baby. Two guns painting. That's why lots of us left the hobby to return years later. Yep, exactly. I was when my son was born. He was the first one born. Yeah, it wasn't a lot of time. And then I'd squeeze in maybe an hour here, there, a week. You know, like if the wife was taking him for a ride, or she was going to go visit her parents, or family, what have you, and like it was like a Sunday or whatever, and I was like, could I do video games or should I do some hobbying? And sometimes it was video games, sometimes it was hobbying, right? So you find time. You will find time, but first and foremost, baby, right? Family first, then the hobby, right? Well, family first, life, then the hobby. Where am I? Peter Bothwick. Hey Kris, question. I want to convert some extra Necron warriors into flayed ones. How would you go about making the skin bits? I would probably go with green stuff. Green stuff would be fun. Should be fairly easy. Any kind of epoxy, like 2-part epoxy. One thing I would recommend is, like we I don't know if you're on the North American side of things or in Europe, but we have saran wrap, which is the cling wrap, right, for sandwiches and stuff like that, for food. Lay that down. Okay, so you mix up a nice little batch of green stuff, right? Make sure it's thoroughly kneaded. Hopefully you can find something as a rolling pin, bottle, what have you, right? Lay down some cling wrap, put your green stuff down, put another layer of cling wrap on top, and use your rolling pin and roll the green stuff out. And then if you kind of know what size of shit, so you can roll it out really thin, right? Then really quickly you can blade off, right, a little chunk that you can see that looks like a good piece that might cover and drape, because if you've rolled it out nice and thin, it should be fairly easy. Make sure that your fingers are damp, not soaking wet. A lot of people either use like chapstick or even Vaseline. Chapstick I like because it's not it doesn't stay long, right? Whereas Vaseline it seems to just last forever, kind of thing, right? But otherwise, just moisture on your fingers so that you can handle the green stuff, right? And I would definitely put just a slight little layer of dampness onto the green stuff. It's not entirely necessary, but it just kind of helps, because that way you can kind of position, because as soon as you lay the green stuff down onto the model, it's going to grab, and it's pull it off and it's going to stretch and deform, you know what I mean? And so basically I would drape it over the bit that you want, right? And then you can either just drape what you want, pull and try and sculpt it as you want, or drape it so it gets a good drape going on, wait till it's cured, and then come in with a nice sharp X-Acto blade, fresh sharp X-Acto blade, and come in and blade out the parts so that you get that that straggly, and you can put the little holes in, and stuff like that, and go about it that way. That might be one way to go about it. So hopefully, Peter, that kind of helps. There are a few videos I have, on green stuff in Mini Wargaming's vault. I don't know if I have anything on my channel. Probably not. I've shown doing banners and stuff with green stuff, but I don't think I've ever done like a flayed one, doing the skin, like making your own skin. Oh, you know what though? When I did Kanum, the conversion for Kanum, way back when, I put draped skin on him. But I think I just drew it out, slapped it on, and sculpted it. So I was a little bit more confident, in my sculpting at that point. Not that I've lost confidence, but it's just I don't do a lot. Reese Taylor just bought the Lord of the Rings Gondor terrain kit. Terrain, Kris. Was just wondering how you would go about painting a khaki stone, and would you try dry brush or airbrush it? Why not both? Get a khaki stone. I don't know. Like, I don't know what if you're on the Citadel. If you're entirely on the Citadel side, you have airbrush paints. So I mean, you could lay down. You could lay down like a medium gray, airbrush in some slightly lighter tones on top, leaving just a bit of gray. You could do almost like a zenithal, right? So you can give it a gray base, and then from the very top of the stones, because like the wall sections, and use your airbrush and spray straight down, right? Don't move the airbrush too steep an angle. Keep it just kind of straight on, and just hit the top of the walls, and that'll pick out all the tops of the stones. And if need be, you could always throw like a slight dry brush just to bring out some bit more texture. That's fine. You could lay down the base coat and, highlights. Like you could lay down a light gray, maybe hit it with, almost like a Shabti bone kind of color with the airbrush, and then come in with like almost like even Screaming Skull or even Uthran Gray as a dry brush, or if you have the dries, I don't know what your paint system's like. And just do a slight dry brush and just bring out the texture in the stones, and you could go about it that way. There's like, oftentimes when talking about brush techniques and tools and such, it seems like a lot of people, I don't know why, but it seems like a lot of people have a this or that kind of attitude towards certain techniques, and I'm not sure why that exists. They're all there. Use whatever technique will achieve your goal, right? And I'm not sure why that seems to persist these days. That don't you want dry brush? Dry brushing is for noobs. Like who the hell made up that freaking rule? Dry brushing is just a technique, and it has its place. It has its usage, just like glazing, just like blending. Whatever, airbrushing, brush paint. I mean, these are all a means to an ends, right? And I'm not sure why a lot of people adopt this or that kind of attitude. Should I use an airbrush or regular brush? Why not both? What's wrong with using both, right? So hopefully that gets the brain churning and give you some ideas. Aaron Seach, not sure if they're available unless you back the Kickstarter. As of right now, it is not up on the site for sale yet. Oh, okay. Relic Blade reminds me more of X-Wing in its mechanics and upgrade system. Okay. See, I haven't played a lot of X-Wing. I played it when it first came out, just a bit, just a couple of trial games, but yeah, I liked it. I just wasn't like right into it. I think because the whole already pre-painted models. I kind of wanted to paint the models, and the sculpts on the models. I don't know. I think I'd rather play X-Wing with like the Bandai 144 scale models, because I think they're almost about the same size, and that'd be a lot more fun. Enforcer at Kris, was it called Blaze Bath and Beyond? Blaze Bath and Beyond? No, it was called Choom, 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 Choom. Something like that. I thought it was Shroom. I was like, but they don't sell shrooms. I don't get it. Go to Starman Deluxe. The Apple Eye Blunt. Only $99 a gram. Now the prices here are pretty good. Nathaniel, episode 255. I got my toes done. I feel oh so pretty. I feel pretty. So pretty. Yeah, sometimes. Well, it's okay to feel pretty. It's okay. Lazy Monkey, having a baby, bigger wall of shame waiting for you. Yeah, that's fine. The baby, man. You gotta take care of that baby. The baby's most important. The baby. And so, yeah, your hobby, the painting, the miniatures, the gaming, it'll be there when you get back. It's no worries. Sir Peanut Butter, take care of your spawn and they'll take care of you, hopefully. Yeah. Now you got me worried. Now you got me doubting things. Are they going to take care of me? I don't know. Oh gosh, I hope. Oh, I don't want to be an old man. I knew a few fellas that were really old and they didn't have anybody taking care of them and stuff. It's just, man, I do not want to go out like that. I do not want to go out like that. Jorg Tabarts. I'm going to say that's how you say the name. I don't even know if that's Jorg is supposed to be Jorg? Jorg? Anyway, it's a good time to start painting my blood letters again. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do this. Scott Stevenson. Hey, dude. Happy Father's Day. Hope you had a good day so far. Can you give me some tips or tricks for burnout? Yeah, we've talked a lot about burnout on this show. And, if you, I don't know if that's a very familiar name. I don't think I've ever read it before, but welcome. If you've been watching silently or whatever. Either way, tips for burnout. It's a tricky one. I've been fighting burnout for a long time, and it comes and goes. I don't think I've hit the point where I'm just kind of like, F it, and I'm done. That's kind of burnout, I think. For me, when I think it gets there, I think that's what it'd be, right? Like I said, I haven't hit that yet. I've been in this hobby for 30 years. 30 years? Yeah, 30 years. I've been in this hobby 30 years, and I have yet to hit that point. I've taken breaks, right? Starting a family, school, girlfriends, job. I've taken breaks. But I was never like, done with this hobby. Boom. Because that, to me, I think that's what burnout would be. So I don't know if that's what we're talking about, but I've been close to it where I'm kind of like, I don't feel like doing this. I want to do other things. I want to challenge myself with other things. And that one gnaws at me a lot. Even recently, it's gnawing at me. There's certain projects I want to get started and get into. And this stuff just kind of, But anyway, I think really what it is, it's trying to find, and I talked about this at length at one point. I can't remember where it was. Finding your passion again. What was it that got you into this hobby? What was it so long ago that got you into this? If you're just a young fella and you're feeling this burnout, yeah, you might have other things going on in your life that, it's just kind of weighing heavy on you and you just can't focus on this. And that's normal. Go deal with normal life. Go deal with real life. Go deal with your family. Go deal with your friends. Go deal with your school, your job, whatever it is that is persisting and you can't focus on this, or you just don't feel like doing this, or you know what I mean? Like if it's typically it's other things, right? Because hobby time is our spare time, and it should be an enjoyable time, right? It should be time where, I can sit down and I can assemble some models, I can paint, I can do whatever, I can go play a game, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? And it's a hobby, and it's our spare time. It's not a full-time thing. A lot of people want to change this into a full-time thing, and there is a little trick to it, but either way. But for everybody else, you kind of think back to when you first got into this hobby. What was it that got you excited about this hobby? What was it? Was it a certain movie? Books? Right? What was it? And maybe go back to that source. If you can recall what got you into this hobby, go back to the source and rekindle that flame that's still burning in there. Because it's still burning. It's still there. And, get that flame burning bright again by doing, whatever it is that got you into this hobby. Whatever got you excited about this stuff. Was it the movies you were watching? Was it the books you were reading? Was it a particular friend? There's so many different ways that one could end up in this hobby that, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. So, thankfully, I have not gotten to that point, but I have teetered on that edge. And it's usually that kind of thing. And for myself, it's also finding, new challenges. Challenging myself in new ways to interpret things, to do things. And so I'm always challenging myself on what can be done. And keeping that challenge going has kind of kept me in this side of it and enjoying it for myself. Because like right now, I've got Deepkin. It's been like, I've been assembling that squad for like 2 weeks. So, slow goings. It's getting done. Slow goings. So hopefully, Scott, that kind of helps. I know it's not terribly effective advice, but yeah, I haven't teetered past that point where I've just been, F it, I'm burned out, I'm done. I haven't hit that point yet. I've been close a couple times in the last couple years. Been close. Where I'm just ready to say, F it, I'm done. So, anyway. Raziel, dang, Kris, you live on Daddy's Day? Yeah, I'm doing a live show. Well, it's not too busy. The wife's at work. It's going to be a few hours till I fire up the grill. So, yeah. Join the day. Matt Mayer. If you feel like talking about something other than contrast, I'd love to hear your suggestions for making Eldar banners. I've thought about using actual cloth and iron-on printed transfers. Interesting. That's interesting. I would go with a very fine cloth, almost like microfiber. I wouldn't even do like t-shirt cloth. I think the thread would be just too big. I'd go with something smaller, very, very tight knit, so that the scaling feels appropriate. Iron-on transfers, that'd be great, rather than, because especially if you're not very confident in your freehanding ability, in your drawing ability, printing it out, iron it on, should work, right? The only thing is creating the curls in the banner, right, to create that little sense of movement. I'm trying to think what an acrylic sealant might work. Thinned out PVA glue, and you just spritz it on, and then put it in that shape and let it dry, and hopefully it maintains that shape. Because again, you're talking about a soft shape, right? And it's not it's not going to hold very well. It needs something outside to penetrate the fibers and give it and keep that shape, right? But it's very, very interesting. Yeah. I've never tried using actual cloth to do banners. I've only ever used foil, green stuff, plastic card. Plastic card, probably one of my favorite ways to get it done, but it requires you to heat up the plastic, which, depending on if you have the tool or not, a hot air gun, it makes life a little bit challenging, because if you're doing it just by, a heating element or, like a flame, I've done that before using a flame. I actually did that with, like the flying stems, right? And use the flame to heat up the plastic and do like icicles. And I also used to do drool that way, like the drool. Yeah, I used to do it that way as well. Nathaniel, Kris, I'm thinking about doing painting on canvas. I was thinking of doing my own paints and create egg tempera. You got any tips or recipe for that? No, egg tempera? No, I've only ever really worked within oils. But I mean, if you're gonna make your own paints, I'm not sure why you need to make your own paints. But if you're going with egg tempera, just find yourself a source of pigments, and I mean, you can pretty much just use egg, and I can't remember what the other one is. There's another binder in it for egg tempera. I can't remember what the recipe is. It's like old style, like fresco painting. Oftentimes that's what they used in the frescoes, like on the Sistine Chapel, and you know what I mean, like all those frescoes. It was egg tempera, because while the plaster was still wet, they would paint right into the plaster, right? And egg tempera was good for that, apparently. Peter Bothwick, maybe you should make a video on flayed skin. It would work for Necrons, Chaos, Ironjaws, Skaven, and all sorts of freaky, creepy models. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. John Grammaticus, brush tribal mentality. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe. I don't know. Nathaniel, Ben Ellis is a dry brushing genius. Yes, he's extremely proficient in dry brushing. Lazy Monkey, any technique is valid as long as it gets the desired result. Yes, definitely. Smalls, I always start with airbrush, but finish my details with a normal brush. Works best for me. Exactly. Grimnir over on Twitch. Hi Grimnir. Dr. Xantos, hello monkeys, hello. Douglas Morissette, I am here now. Now the party can begin. All right, party on. John Grammaticus, episode 255. Take care of your spawn. They choose your care home. Yeah, pretty much. Jacopo. Hey. Am I saying that right? Jacopo. Dr. Xantos. I was just about to ask the burnout question too. Really? Dr. Xantos, you're feeling the burnout as well? Really? Lazy Monkey, problem with the burnout solutions is burnout is a personal thing. Everyone's wired differently. Everyone has slightly different motivations and tolerances. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, you know, like I said, I hope my advice kind of gets the ball rolling. But, I mean, yeah, it's kind of... It's really... Yeah, it is really up to you as far as how you kind of get that ball rolling again, you know? It's, yeah. But yeah, Lazy Monkey, yeah, you're exactly right. It's, yeah, everybody's wired differently. John Grammaticus at Kris, I think we need to be more positive and figure out how to get burnt in. Oh, burnt in. Well, burn out, right, it's burn out, burn in. In photography, you can burn in. It's dodging. In Photoshop, it's called dodge because it's from the old photo techniques. But anyway, I was just thinking of that kind of play on it. But anyway, Barring 91. Hey Kris, seeing a new video from you always puts a smile on my face. Thanks for all your hard work. Well, thank you for watching. Jacopo, the best way to defeat burnout is to paint 100 grots. After that, everything else will feel like a stroll in the woods. Quite possibly. Shogun Ka, William Ka, sweet Sunday. Sweet Sunday. Douglas Morissette, what is the spare time you speak of? Exactly. Some of us are very, very busy. And, you know. But, you know. How can we ever have spare time unless we take time, right? If it's important to you, you'll find a way. Maybe watch less TV. You know, it's usually one of the first things. Spend less time video gaming. Spend less time on the internet. You know, if it's important to you, you'll find time. Douglas Morissette, what is... Oh, I already read that one. Lazy Monkey, I got into the hobby for the girls. I think my logic was flawed. You know what? I never had that illusion at all. I went after other things. Other pursuits. In pursuit of girls. I joined a band. Well, I was asked to join a band, and so I joined it. Because, you know, girls. Demon's Wrath 808. Happy Father's Day, Kris and Hobby Fascias. Hobby Fascias? What does that mean, fascias? Fascias? Not fascist. I hope it's not fascists. Excuse me. Cock King 555. I have channelage myself to get everything done before I can buy more models. Sadly, I have lost a lot of parts. Yeah. I try to maintain that as well. I try not to, you know, have too many models on the go, like in boxes and what have you. So I assemble it and leave it on my shelves, and then I go, oh, okay, now I gotta paint that. J Plasma, hello all. Hello, J Plasma. Happy Father's Day to all the dads. Happy Father's Day. Jacopo, or you could put a miniature fan behind the standard bearer. Oh, and make it like flap in the wind? Yeah. Aaron Seach at Kris, how would you do a spider web effect? Currently painting the bone construct from Relic Blade, and I thought it could put a few webs on the mini. Did I not do a video on doing cobwebs? I thought I'd shown the spider web effect on video. Mini Wargaming or on my channel, I thought. But really quickly, go to any art supply place, pick up just a cheap bottle of Crackle Medium. You have an airbrush, right? I'm pretty sure you got an airbrush. Get yourself a Crackle Medium. Load your airbrush. Turn the PSI to about probably around 20 PSI. It's plenty strong enough. And then just spray until you, and just like draw the hammer back till you get the right flow and air pressure till you start seeing like almost like silly string flying out of your airbrush. And then and then you just quickly just run your model. And then, of course, if the whole model is completely covered, which is fine, you can always come in with a bit of like a damp brush and then just like destroy wherever you don't want cobwebs. That, in a nutshell, is doing the webs. Joe Davidson, was there a big celebration in leaving me hanging here, Joe? Oh, was there a big celebration? Are you going to say in Toronto? Yeah, there was a huge celebration. It was on the news and everything. People just plastered everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots of people. I didn't watch the final game. My wife and son watched the final game. Yeah, I wasn't, terribly concerned with basketball. Basketball's not really my thing. Football. I like football more. But I'm not a huge fanatic. I enjoy it. And it's a great way to spend time with your family and, take interest in their interest kind of thing. Joe Davidson, Welland. Oh, when the Raptors won like there was here in Toronto. Oh, in Welland? I don't know. I don't know if there was a big thing. I imagine there was. I imagine a lot of the sports bars were packed and everybody was hammed right out of their heads. I'm sure. We weren't anywhere. G Plasma. I've tried spray paint art. It's pretty fun. Yeah, spray paint art. Yeah, that's right. Because I remember that. Because you sent a few pictures a couple times, didn't you, Jay? With your art. For anybody out there who does like art as well, like other forms of art, send me pics of that too. I know like Sammy C. He had sent in some of his pictures a couple times. We've shown it on the show. Yeah. Feel free. Ripley D. Hey, Kris. Just letting you know the Teflon tape worked like a dream. Awesome. Awesome. I was going to ask, but then I got busy with stuff today. I'm glad to hear that worked out. And so everything's working great. Getting lots of pressures, no bubbles or anything like that come through. Excellent. And, of course, anything else weird happens, feel free to ask. Feel free. Always feel free. Nathaniel, Kris, I could use pre-made paints, but I want to try new stuff just for fun. Sure. You like getting like tempera? Yeah, I mean, getting egg tempera. I don't even know if anybody actually makes that. I'm sure people are still using it to paint with, but they're probably making their own, I would imagine. Yeah. Because I know like regular tempera, I'm pretty sure it's not made with egg. That's the Renaissance time that people were using tempera like that. So, yeah. Lazy Monkey's suggesting that there is a lot of guides and stuff out there for it. So, yeah. I mean, it all starts with pigments, right? Yeah, you can add egg, make egg tempera. You can add oil, linseed oil, make oil paint. Add acrylic resin, right? Acrylic binder, make acrylic paint, right? It all starts with the pigments. So really, if you want to make your own paints, shop around for companies that produce pigments, and you'll be fine. Sophie, wow, I'm off to KFC with Dad. Get your peeps later. Later, Sophie, and enjoy your KFC. Reese Taylor, Green Stuff World, do a spiderweb paint and cleaner for airbrush too. Yeah, and I'm sure that's all it is. Is they've repackaged because they know, like I've talked about this before. Green Stuff World is actually pretty good at rebranding things to suit our hobby needs. And yeah, I'm sure that their spiderweb paint is just simply crackle medium because that's the common way to achieve the effect. Yakapu, question time. How can I paint like light leather? All the guides I've found are for dark leather, but nothing for like khaki or light leather. Well, I mean, you can use a guide for khaki or light colors, but really, I mean, if it all depends on like how big that surface is, and it depends on your application of the paint, right? You know, creating the little lines, distress, you know what I mean? That creates that look of the leather. But yeah, like as far as switching like color guides, I mean, just use whatever guide for khaki that you like, the particular color, and use that. I'm it's kind of like those things where here's a Space Marine painted like a Blood Angel. Okay, great, but how do you paint a Terminator or paint a Rhino? And I've never really fully understood how that doesn't work, where you could just take that set of skills that took this to the Space Marine and apply it here and apply it here. It's a scalability, and it's just you apply it. Once you've learned something, you just apply it elsewhere. See where it fits. Experiment and see how it all works. It's the way how you're going to learn. So if you want to go for light khaki leather, it's not really in the colors so much, but it's in how you apply the paint, right? That creates that look of the leather, that feeling of the leather. If you're going that far, if it's a tiny ass little detail, I mean, you know, are we really going to stress it? I mean, and like with a khaki, I mean, with a light color like that, I mean, like there's so many different ways you can shade it, you know? I mean, if like, okay, for example, if I was going to do a light khaki, I would probably use a color like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd go with Zameshi Desert. Zandri Dust. I'd go with Zandri Dust and add Screaming Skull into it until I built to a pure Screaming Skull just along high points and maybe just like little lines of distress on the leather. That kind of stuff. That would work. Start with Zandri Dust. If you really want to create some contrast in it, you know, maybe it's like buckles and folds or little dots, thin down Agrax Earthshade and just apply it into those areas. Don't hit it the whole thing. You could hit the whole thing if you want to bring the overall value down a bit. Come back in with Zandri Dust, then mix Screaming Skull into Zandri Dust, do a highlight, maybe mix a little bit more Screaming Skull, do a finer highlight, and then maybe just a final, you know, detailing with pure Screaming Skull, and that would give you a fairly convincing khaki color. So hopefully that kind of helps, Jacopo. Hopefully I'm Jacopo, it's for a Batman miniature with a long trench coat on it. Thanks for the tips. Okay. I see what you're going for now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, context is all it's painting, helping me visualize the problem and your solution. You have to provide Kris context. Asking very broad questions is just, I don't know. I'm starting to break under all the broad questions I get oftentimes. They're not specific enough. You got to be specific. What are you after? What is your problem that I can help find a solution to? That's what it is. If it's just kind of a broad kind of question, I don't know where to begin because there are just too many possibilities. There are too many possibilities. Where am I? Aaron Seach. I'm dabbing in space art using my airbrushes. Wanted to try something new with the tools I already have. Excellent. And I think airbrushing onto a flat surface, doing like illustration, canvas work, what have you. I think that's probably probably one of the best ways to improve your knowledge and skill with the airbrush. Anybody who's just solely using the airbrush to paint miniatures, they don't have the proper skill set as like an illustration artist who uses the airbrush as it's intended, as it was supposed to be. And yeah, so if you really want to master the airbrush, start doing actual art with the airbrush, and I think you'll find that you'll develop a whole new skill. Lazy Monkey, many years ago in grade school art classes, we made some egg tempera paints, but it was so long ago the memory barely there, so not helpful. Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of guides out there and stuff like that. I'm sure there's plenty of YouTube videos for recipes out there. Do I have any? No, I haven't. Yeah, probably just like you, I haven't made it since way back in the day. I didn't even take it in college. I mean, we took the theories and where it was used and blah blah blah, but I don't remember ever making egg tempera. We used pigments and made paints, but not tempera. Weitze Retzna. I'm lost with that name. Hi, Kris. I've been working on my demonettes of Slanesh and was wondering if you got any tips on how to convert these models to get some different poses in my army. Yeah, see, like, that's a pretty broad question. I mean, to get different poses, I mean, the where you cut the model, right, at the elbow joint, so you can bend the arm. Mixing and matching different arms, because I know, like, with a lot of kits, sometimes they're keyed particular ways, so they only fit in a certain way, and so it may require you to get your hands on some green stuff, 2-part epoxy essentially, some sculpting material, and if a part doesn't quite fit, you might have to like pin it so that it sits a certain angle, and then you have to use green stuff, and then so you can smooth out the details. To do that kind of stuff, you might need to get yourself some reference material as far as how the body bends in certain ways so that you can accurately mimic it so it doesn't look weird. I mean, like, say, for example, if there's a right arm to a model that's in a certain pose and you don't like that arm and you want to use a different arm, but it doesn't fit here properly, then you may need to cut and reshape the bit so that the two meet up properly, but then you might end up losing a lot of material, or it might only fit a certain way, and so then again you're gonna have to come in with green stuff to fit and fill in those gaps. Those are a lot of the different ways. Again, I mean, getting different poses, I mean, it's what are you looking for? What models are we talking about? And what is your goal? Like, what are you trying to achieve with these particular bits and parts? It's again, that's a very broad kind of question, right? It's like, how do I convert a model? Well, you get a blade and start hacking at it. I mean, what are you looking to achieve through your conversion, right? Jacopo, already read that. Lazy Monkey. It's like giving tech support, Kris. The more detailed, the easier it is to actually address the problem. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's, the more information you can give me as far as what is wrong or what you're looking for, excellent, right? Because then I can actually properly diagnose what is going on so that we can find the solution for you, right? And also, let me know, if you're relatively new to the hobby, if you're, more experienced, or, what kind of tools, what I mean? It's just, there's so many variables, but yeah. Thanks for the tip. I'm trying to get the legs to stand in different poses because they are not interchangeable between the models. Yeah, so that's a tough one. So okay, so swapping out legs. So obviously it's a torso thing, right? Yeah, it's like the way certain models are going to go. Now, I have not assembled any of the new Slanesh models or anything like that, so I'm not 100% on how some of them line up. I know some of them, yeah, they're probably like an arm and a leg are probably one piece, and they fit together. I know that can be a pain. It is almost kind of at the point where maybe you assemble the whole model, and then with a fine saw, a very fine saw. Citadel produces a fine saw, but you can find other fine modeling saws or jewelry tools, and saw, just above a belt line or something like that. Swap the leg, glue it back into position, or even pin it so that there's a bit of a gap so you can take green stuff and then try and re-sculpt some of those, just follow like the muscles that were there, follow those shapes of the body, but always cut above details. Don't cut right through the belt or the chain mail, or if at all possible, right, when going for those kind of things. Yeah, because if you're going to use green stuff and you're going to try and match shapes, it is a little bit easier and a little bit more forgiving trying to go for those organic shapes rather than trying to go for those clearly defined edges and trying to sculpt that, especially if you've not done it before. As you keep practicing and doing it, you will get better. The first one might not turn out the way you're hoping. That's okay. Everybody fails their first time. Don't let it discourage you. Keep going. Everybody fails. Learn from what you had done and apply your new knowledge to make the second version better. And then take what you learned from the second version and apply it to the third, fourth, fifth, so on and so forth. Okay? So, hopefully, that's a little bit better. Hopefully, that's a little bit clearer. Hopefully, a little bit more useful to you. Aaron Seach, XV88 from Citadel makes a great light leather. Yeah, that one's actually pretty warm. Again, with a khaki, do you go with a warmer color? Do you go with like a lighter color? Again, there's so many different directions you can take it, right? And so what kind of leather are you looking for? If it's like a leather of a trench coat, kind of like how you typically see it, I see Zandri Dust. XV88 feels a little bit too brown, whereas Zandri Dust feels a bit more of that yellowy mustard kind of color, like for a trench coat. So, yeah. Clumsy Jugular. There is a book called The Art Forger's Handbook by Eric Heborn. That has lots of stuff like how egg tempera is made. There we go. Thank you, Clumsy Jugular. Okay, look up that book, The Art Forger's Handbook. Is that in your personal collection, Clumsy Jugular? And not that I'm judging, but I'm kind of judging. Why do you got an Art Forger's Handbook? Are you forging art? Ebb and Flow, episode 255. What is your problem? What is your problem? What is your problem? Jacopo. Anyway, the yellow contrast paint you used on the light Imperial Fist is actually really cool. What do you think about the 3 contrast paints for flesh? Well, I've only really used Dark Oath and Gilliman flesh. I haven't used the other one. Can't remember what the hell the other one's called. I don't have it on hand, do I? No, I don't. I don't have it on hand, but so far with the Dark Oath, I liked it. And Gilliman, like the Gilliman flesh, as far as like anybody who likes using Cadian flesh and Reikland flesh shade, Gilliman flesh is like that. You apply it fairly generously onto a surface, and it gives you that look. It looks like Cadian flesh tone with Reikland flesh shade on top. And that's how it looks. It's pretty darn close. So, yeah. And Dark Oath, yeah, it feels a bit darker, obviously. Imagine the other one. What's the other one? The Fire Slayer one. The Fire Slayer one. I imagine that one is more of a Bugman Glow kind of base, like doing flesh with like Bugman Glow and then Reikland Flesh Shade. I imagine that's the kind of look it gives. That's speculation. I haven't done it myself, but that's speculation. I know, considering that I've been playing with these paints for like a few weeks now, that I haven't fully utilized them. But I mean, I'm doing this test, that test, and I'm making videos on it, so there's that side of that as well. I mean, filming and editing, and it's work, a lot of work. It's not just as simple as turning on a webcam and talking to you guys, theorizing. Cock King 555. My brain is mush. Stop asking broad questions. Acropolis Games. Any advice on how to get better white using Apothecary White? Well, what do you mean better? Better than what? How do you get better white using Apothecary White? Yeah, better than what? Like, better than examples we've seen out there? Better than... Yeah, I'm not following the question. Because well, it hasn't been posted yet, but it'll go up actually tomorrow on Mini Wargaming. And I do a white scar. And I use the Apothecary White. And I use the Gray Seer. And I paint basically a white scar using the contrasts for a very large part of the model. You could go the full length using just contrast, but I take it a little bit further. Again, I don't like showing off like the same thing that other people are doing. I want to do things a little bit differently. I like doing things a little bit differently, and I don't like, especially like, because Games Workshop has like a whole bunch of guides, and they're great. They're good guides. They help, but I don't want to, like, some people keep asking, like, show us this color scheme, show us this color scheme. Games Workshop's already done it. Like, why I'm not going to do anything different than that. And if I really, really, really wanted to do something different, I'm going to do something really different. And then I'm going to get a bunch of questions about, well, how'd you use this product? Why'd you use this technique? Why did you, you know what I mean? And so I was like, oh my God. So, yeah. I like thinking outside the box, and I like, treading the road less taken. T4 was here. How to use Technical Storm Shield. Technical Storm Shield, it's the matte varnish. So slap it onto the model. Put a little bit on your palette. Load your brush. Apply it to your model. Let it dry. Should give you a matte finish. You know what? I don't have any kind of completed parts here that I could actually show it on. Oh, I guess I do. I got my Rhino. Okay. Oi! Ooh, I almost took that all with me. Where is the technical? That's the medium. That's the hard coat. Storm Shield. Okay. We're gonna do this right now. And I don't think I need to move the camera, because I only have the one camera. I don't think I need to move this camera, because I'm just gonna quickly apply it to the model, and we're gonna see the finish. Where is my trusty rusty paint rag? It's my trusty rusty paint rag. I always use that old t-shirt to wipe stuff off. Let's grab a brush. I'm gonna use a number 2 Arctis Opus. It's a little bit small, but that's okay, because I totally forgot to bring home my smaller brushes. I'm gonna grab a little bit. I'm gonna grab a nice heavy helping right there. And I'm just gonna apply. I'm gonna apply it to the side of the Rhino. I'm gonna apply it to the side of the Rhino that everybody hated. And let's go. Yeah, let's just slap it right onto here. Yeah. Applies nice and smooth. It almost feels a bit like Art Coat. It's got that same kind of consistency. It's kind of thick feeling. I'm just pulling out some of the heavy points here. So I'm trying to eliminate some of my brush strokes so that doesn't show up in the end result. Let's get this out. So yeah, so I didn't bother moving the camera for this because it was just a quick little application of it. Give that a few moments to dry. You can kind of see there in the light. You can kind of see how it's kind of shiny there at the moment, right? I gave it a good shake. Hopefully, like, shook it enough. I haven't really used it, so maybe I didn't shake it enough. But let's see. No, I can see in portions of it where it's drying. It's drying matte. Yeah, it's drying matte. It's a matte. So, yeah. Lazy Monkey, Way of the Brush, episode 255. The quest for more detailed questions. That kind of sums it up for me, Lazy Monkey. And you know what? You're absolutely right. The quest for more detailed questions. You win. You win, Lazy Monkey. You win. That's what I'm going to name the show today. Because, as a lot of you may or may not know, Kris doesn't name the show. I let you guys name the show. And so, yeah. Reese Taylor, how is Abaddon and the Gundam coming along, Kris? I'm currently working on my Easterlings. Abaddon, I haven't touched. And I mentioned previously that I would not post any more on Abaddon until he was done. And he's not done. Because I've stopped working on Abaddon since I got my hands on the contrast paints because I've been busy playing with contrast. So, yeah. And, like all you guys, I only have so many hours in the day to do this stuff. And if I'm filming it and producing stuff, like content on it, that takes even more time. So, yeah. Time. And also I work for Mini Wargaming, so I'm producing work for Mini Wargaming. It's not just, myself, right? Even still, if I was working for myself, it's still probably about the same pace. Earthman Brick, do you prefer Milliput or Needite green stuff? I have not used Milliput a lot, but Milliput dries very hard. And from what I understand, because of that quality that it dries actually pretty hard, it's really great for getting sharp details. Whereas Needite, is very forgiving, very soft. Even if you add a bit more hardener to it, it still cures pretty soft. It holds details just fine. But, I've only ever really used a lot of Needite. And I've not used a lot of Milliput. I've only ever used, and Milliput, I was using it more for, gap filling. I sculpted a couple things, but they were just, small crap things. It was just, yeah. But, yeah, I liked how Milliput was very firm. It was almost like resin almost. Hard resin. It was almost like that. Mad Fern, hey Kris, I have a model and I want to do stuff to it. What do I do? Well, you just do it. Just do it. Get into it. Do it. Enforcer, Kris, so I got one question for you. Before I get back to work, how would you go about trying to mimic filling large gaps in models with green stuff? I'm talking like having to remodel legs and stuff. Yeah, if you got to remodel legs and if you can't sculpt, you're better off looking for the legs to replace. And we go back to, converting and sawing off and, and then filling tiny little gaps. Doing remodeling legs, that requires you to have any kind of sculpting ability. And James, last time we were talking, I don't know if you've displayed any sculpting ability. So, yeah. Or are you asking that just to be a smartass? Because if you're asking to be a smartass, well then, bravo. Wheats. Anyway, thank you for the tip. I'm going to try it out later today. Awesome. Hopefully that helps. Let me know. Aaron Seach, don't treat a mistake as a mistake. Treat a mistake as a learning experience to improve. You may hack up and butcher some models, but you will be better for the next one. Exactly. Lazy Monkey, I think the question is at Kris, why is the Art Forger's Handbook not in your collection? I don't know. Why isn't it? Yeah, I've got lots of books on art and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. It's not. I mean, because like, I guess really, if I was looking to become a curator of art, then I'd want to know how to spot the forgeries, right? If you know how to, like, it's, yeah, it's the same reason that companies that make safes hire thieves to break the safe to test out how secure their safe is, right? It's like getting hackers to try and break into your computer system to see if they can break it, see how strong your system is, right? And so if you need, to judge whether or not art is authentic, you would want to have somebody who was experienced in that field. So yes, there is a point to having that kind of book. I was making more joke about, him forging art than the legitimacy of the book itself. But yeah. Anyway. Dr. Zeto's episode 255. Please state the nature of the painting emergency. Yeah, I should have a hologram. I should have like what would be funny is a little gif of myself coming up in the corner. State the nature of your medical or your painting emergency, and then you could fill in, how do I paint this? And then his automatic response would be with a brush. Oh man, that'd be funny. AJR. That's what I'm looking forward to for contrast. Skin and bone. Yeah. Oh, right. Contrast. Is that dry yet? Yeah, it's mostly dry. Hey. Look at that. Like, you can still see some points there where you can still see it's kind of shimmery a bit. But everywhere else where I applied it, it's solid matte. Yeah, here, let me show you guys really quickly on camera here. Let me get to, no, not that window. Oh, I'm screwing everything up now. This window, that window. Let's go here. Go to there. Get the controls. And focus. Let's grab the focus. All right. So, I did just the front portion of the rhino. So just from, obviously from the very front to just past this exhaust, but I did not hit the exhaust. And you can kind of see where there's still wet. You can see the streaks there. But otherwise, look how matte it is. Compared, I did not do the exhaust housing on the side of the rhino or the door. I did not do the door. So look how matte it is. Even just the part before the door to the forward edge. So it does a pretty good job of doing a matte varnish. So that's it. That's Storm Shield. Yeah. It looks fine. It's a matte. And the paint itself, like that end to that end where I can see like this little portion here to there, they look the same. As I'm bouncing the light off the surface, it looks the same. So, Storm Shield, it's just a matte. It's just a matte varnish. It's got the same consistency as Ard Coat, like same thickness, like same body, but otherwise it's pretty much the same. Protisify. If you paint a light contrast paint, say Warp Lightning, allow it to dry, and then paint over with a different color, can you still see the original color? You will not see green, but your eye will blend whatever color you do lay second. So, for example, you lay the green down, right? So, for example, let's say we went with Corax White, Wraithbone, Grey Seer, any one of those, right? We laid that down, we laid the Warp Lightning on top. So now we got this nice rich green going on. Then we take, we take red, right? We take Blood Angels red, and we put some on top. The red and the green to your eye will blend visually. What you will perceive is a darker color, probably fairly neutral, still might look green, but it most likely will look mostly browns. So if you took a little bit of green, took a little bit of red, and you can try this even with your palette. You can take red paint and green paint, Mix them together and they'll make a brown, depending on what value of red and green you use. So like if they're off, like say if it's a bright red and a dark green, and you mix them, it'll make a different value of like kind of a brown. But because red and green are complementary, that's why they neutralize each other. So, for example, if we laid that green down and we laid the yellow down, the yellow would probably get dominated by the green because the green is just so much richer to it, like visually, because it absorbs more light. And the yellow does not, it allows so much light to pass through it that the green would just dominate it. And so you might not even perceive, you probably would perceive a slight yellowing of that color. But otherwise, yeah, when you lay the colors on top, because they're transparent, they're going to interfere with each other visually. They'll mix, essentially. You're going to mix the colors, even though you put one layer down dry and then put another layer down and let it dry, the colors will mix visually. So, yeah, there is that. That's why some of the questions regarding contrast, like laying one color down and then laying another color down, you've probably seen it when if you watch the Mini Wargaming video, the tutorial on the Seraphim, I did the Carnosaur using the contrast paints, and I lay the yellow down, and then I come in with the blue, or did I do the blue first? No, I did the yellow first, and then I laid the blue down, and you could see where the yellow was, and the blue crosses over onto the yellow, and you see green. The paint didn't mix. The colors mixed visually because the light is playing through, right? It's like when you take those clear bits of like plastic, right? You know, if you had a yellow one and a blue one, and you put them up to the light and you held them and you crossed them over a bit, it'll make green, right? Same thing. It's the same thing. Hopefully that makes sense. When playing with these colors, if you are familiar with that kind of color theory, that's what we're doing. Oh, my knee. AJR, Storm Shield equals a varnish with matte finish. Art coat is varnish with glossy finish. Yeah, exactly. I hadn't played with the Storm Shield at all. I was actually kind of surprised that it was fairly thick. And it's almost completely dry. And it's completely matte. And in fact, it's almost indistinguishable from the rest of the paint as far as like how it shines. So, it's matte. It's a nice, it dries like with a nice matte finish. Ghost Starman Deluxe episode 255. I always use an old t-shirt to wipe stuff off. Jeff McFall. Hey, Kris. GW just posted a video using base paints as a primer undercoat. What are your thoughts on this? I remember the old days when there was no such thing as primer for models, but I don't know now. Priming is a very important phase in miniature painting these days. I remember when I used to paint miniatures, like before I even had a clue as to what I was doing. And yeah, I didn't really prime, and the paint would be all over the place or would bead up and wouldn't cooperate and stuff like that. And it wasn't until I actually learned about priming the model before and, then laying the color down. But as far as using the primer, yeah, I mean, the primer allows the paint, contrast or otherwise, to grab hold of that surface. That's the job of primer. That's why primer often has that slightly matte texture to it. That's why. It's because it's providing that surface. Think of it like it's providing like a thin layer of skin, like a paper, and it's allowing our paints to sit on that surface and allow us to do things and put colors down. If it wasn't there, you've seen how smooth plastic is, right? And if you ever tried to lay, thin paint on, what happens? It bubbles right up. It becomes little, bubbles and, beads. It beads up all over the place, right? So, yeah. But yeah, using the base paints as a primer undercoat. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. You're gonna have to show me an example of what you're talking about there. You mean the video that they produced today? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Hopefully this doesn't screw up my stream. I'm going to assume it's on their site, right? Probably on their painting site. Probably. Where's the painting site? I'm on the main site for Games Workshop. Where's painting? Where's the painting? Is there painting? Where's the frickin' painting site? Oh, for the love of God. Well, they don't make it easy for you to find this painting site, do they? Oh, there it is. Up there at the top. Again, don't make it easy. Alright. So you're saying it's a video today. Crap, what frickin' video? Are you talking about the undercoating with sprays? Is that the video you're talking about? I'm going to scroll through some of these comments here. It's on the YouTube and Facebook. Yeah, is it the undercoating with sprays? Is that the video we're talking about? Or undercoating by hand. And he's laying the brush on the miniature. It looks like, now I'm just judging by the thumbnail, but it looks like he's using Imperial Primer, which is the brush-on primer, which is formulated probably with primer in it so that it can provide a surface for the model. Now, they don't have a light primer, which I kind of thought they probably should have done, right? I'm just going to turn the volume down there. It's nothing but Peachy talking here. Okay, so he's just using Abaddon Black. Yeah. It's kind of an older technique to just simply use the base color to provide it. And then, yeah, and then it looks like he puts down 2 layers of it. Yeah, you can do it. So if you're using, you know, like Wraithbone or Grey Seer, the base paints, like the bottle of paints, yeah, you could do that. You know, most of the time it's just easy to use a spray-on primer, especially if you're doing a lot of models at once. If you're hand priming, you know, it allows you to be a lot more careful, a lot more deliberate, right? Yeah, is that here, sent me the link. Is that the same video? Yeah, it's the same video I just watched. Yeah. Sorry, I had to skip through a whole bunch of Peachy talking there. I don't know what he was talking about. But yeah, what he demonstrated there, yeah, it was just using the base paint as a primer. Yeah, and I remember when I was starting to really learn about priming. Yeah, I used to use a Ralpartha white as my primer. I used to use that. I used to use the white-handled Testors crappy plastic brushes, and that's how I used to just brush that on and use that as a primer. Yeah, that's all. Man, this is painting. This isn't rocket science. It's not you know, it's not terribly complex. And it's like it's not like things are going to explode or, you know, what have you. The biggest enemy to miniature painting is the oils on your hands getting on the model. That's the biggest enemy. It's not the paints you use. It's not which primers we're using. Although those things matter to a degree. The biggest enemy is the oils from your hands getting onto the miniature, and then when you're putting it on the miniature, and then you're handling it and you're moving it around and you're wiping off corners and the paint's not sitting and you're like, oh, what the heck's going on here? Why doesn't the paint stay on the model? It's because you're handling the model. Stop handling the model. That's a big one. Avid Mater, Kris, hi. Late to the stream today. Did you get a chance to test out contrast over complementary base and white zenithal like we discussed a week ago? Still can't get them around here. Okay, what? Did you get a chance to test out contrast over complementary base? I've not tested a complementary base, but I mean, like, if I lay down red base and put a green on top of it, they're gonna neutralize. I know they're gonna neutralize. If you know the color theory, I mean, you can theorize that, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. You know, nothing magical is going to happen. It's not going to create a new variance of a color. I mean, it's going to just give you brown. and depending on which intensity of red, which intensity of green, or whatever intensity of complementary colors, you know, yeah. And the white zenithal, as we discussed, I mean, yeah, there's plenty of videos of people doing white zenithal. Again, I mean, like, I showed it with the Imperial Fist, doing a quick zenithal, just a very achievable look that I showed, especially just with spray cans, and showed people how to do that. You know, I figured that was more valuable than a lot of people using their airbrushes and doing this and that. And it's like, because everybody's doing it. And like I said earlier, I don't like treading the same water that other people do. I like to think outside the box. I like to show something a little bit different. And to illustrate my point of there are many ways to do things, and not all the same roads, and to use your brain to solve problems. And that's what Kris is all about. Is, you know, using your brains. Think about it, right? Because you're most likely right. But then test your concept, of course. Do a test. But no, I mean, over contrast over complementary base. I mean, I can tell you right now, they'll neutralize. If I lay down yellow on a model, like, you know, took, I don't know, Ural yellow, and then laid shyish purple on top of it, they're gonna neutralize, and it'll give me probably a brown. Blue and orange, brown. Red and green, brown. That's what happens when you use complementary colors. Now, variance of how bright one color is to the other will give you a variance on the brown tone. Technically, they're supposed to make a gray, but in practice, they make a brown. Nathaniel, I wear rubber gloves to avoid that. What? Philip Yee, Kris, what would you use as a shade for the new base paint? Grey Knight Steel. Ooh, now apparently that one has a slight blue in it, and I think that's very interesting. Oh, son of a beehive! I'm at the wrong point, aren't I? Is it a base? Of course, these are the frickin' videos. No, I want the frickin' swatches, man. Yeah, Grey Knight Steel. Yeah, it looks like it's lighter or darker than what is it? It's not Stormhost. Stormhost? Yeah, Stormhost Steel. Stormhost Metal, whatever. But I've not seen it in practice. I don't have it. Ooh, Iron Warrior is pretty dark too. I'm looking in the bases. Iron Hands. Okay, Iron Hands. Yeah. Oh, what was the question again? I don't remember what the question was. Oh, what would you use as a shade for the new base paint Grey Knight Steel? Now, as far as I understood, that Grey Knight Steel has a slight blue variance in it. Man, I mean, you couldn't go wrong using Null Oil. I would use the gloss variety. If you're going to do a whole shade wash. I probably would thin it, though, so that it doesn't become too dominant and it just only gives me the black in the recesses. You could use something like, again, I would thin this out as well, like Drakenhof Nightshade. You could use that. But that finishes with a matte finish, and a matte on top of metallics, I'm not a huge fan of. I really wish with those shade washes, GW would produce gloss versions of them, because the gloss Null Oil, the gloss Agrax, and the gloss Reichland are awesome. They're great for on top of metallics. But they should produce all these colors in both a matte or gloss finish, or at the very least, they should always finish with gloss, because you could always knock it down with matte afterwards. I really wish they would do that. I suggested it when I was visiting them, but obviously they never listened. But yeah, you could use Drakenhof Nightshade to shade it. If you were going to go with the contrast paints, you probably could go with Talisar Blue, thin down, and apply it. I can't say 100% what that will yield. That actually might really push the blue. And I don't know if you really want to push the blue that far. I think you're looking for more of a darker tone in the recesses, slight blue variants in the broad areas, and then coming in with like a pure silver to do your edging, right? So that's why I would probably suggest a thinned out Nuln Oil would probably be your best result. Throwing too much blue into it might give you too much blue. They'll look too blue. You'll have blue metal marines, right? So, yeah. No, I would probably thin out Nuln Oil and apply that on the model, and then edge it with Stormhouse Silver and stuff. So, yeah. So hopefully, Philip, that helps. Reese Taylor, that is why I use painting handle and a purity seal to protect minis from oils like condom. Ha ha ha. There was a joke there, I'm sure. Avid Mater, Kris, I'm just wondering if you can deepen the shadows that way. Deepen the shadows what way? Oh, using the contrast? Again, it all depends on the variance of what value of color you use. So if you use like a dark green and a dark red, then yeah, where they neutralize each other, you will be fairly dark, right? So if you took like I don't know, like the orc color and the Flesh Terrors color, and you had them over each other, yeah. I mean, I can still test it out, but I wouldn't apply it. I'm not likely to apply it like green then red. It'd probably be green, right? If I was doing it for like orcs, I'd do it green, and then I'd thin down the red, so it only fell in the recesses and give me that deeper color. But if I really wanted the red to play inside the surface, so that I saw both red and green, or green and red, whatever, I would use an opaque red, thin that down into a shade wash, and apply that on top of the green. But then at that point, why even use contrast, right? So, again, I mean, like it's we can theory, and I mean, like I could test it. I don't have anything primed right now. I mean, I've got my Deepkin primed, but I'm not testing on my Deepkin. I'm testing my own theories on Deepkin. Yeah. I should have primed some other stuff. And I'm not going to prime in here because I'm in my house and I'll get killed if I primed in the house. Mind you though, she's at work. And by the time she got home, probably clear. Nah, somebody would rat me out. Somebody would rat me out for sure. Time we at here. Holy crap, it's already 1:30? We better get to some emails. Got a few, and there's a couple I want to show you guys because I took a quick peek and pretty interesting. Did I already read this? Avid Mater. I mean to lay down the complementary, spray a white zenithal over it, and then apply the contrast so you can get a full saturation on the white and the deep shadows. To what end? To simply see? Or what are you looking to accomplish by doing that? I guess really is the question here. Are you just wanting to see what it does? I mean, because if you lay down red and then sprayed a white zenithal on top of it and then applied a green contrast on it, yeah, you would show up green on the white, where the red and green mix would neutralize. So, for example, if you laid down red first, sprayed it white, right, in a zenithal fashion, all the high points, you threw that green right on top, and then all of the red, because if you're just applying the green right on top of the red, would neutralize. And so all you would see is that neutralized color and green. The red would be lost, other than the fact that it's neutralized by the green. And that's it. That's all you'd see. So you'd still only see two colors. If that makes sense. Georgians, yep, we would rat you out. I was talking about my kids, but Yeah, you guys would probably rat me out too. You guys probably email my wife. I know you sons of guns would too. I know. But yeah, avid. Yeah, I mean, or avid. Yeah, I was just if I ran through the steps on what we were talking about there. Yeah, that's what you would see. You would see a neutralized brownish color with the green, right? If you say laid the red down, put a zenithal white on it, and then thinned down the green and applied it, then you might see three. You might see the three colors, because you would see the tinted green. You would still see a hint of red where the thinned out green sitting on top, where they slightly neutralize each other, but then it would be a deeper color in the recesses. But again, what's the end goal? What are you trying to achieve with this? Because using the complementary color to do the shadows is typically done with opaques, but because the opaques will sit on top of each other, you can see the colors sitting next to each other, and you have to physically mix them. Whereas with transparencies, which is the contrast paints, you don't have to mix them because your eye perceives that mixture already because of the amount of light coming back to you. So, yeah. Disco Duke, hi Kris, hope you're well. I have a model I'm starting to paint shortly, and I was wanted to do some muted dark blues and grays, sort of moonlit style of skin. Do you have any tips? Using dark blues and grays to do moonlit style on skin. It's kind of interesting. I mean, like, are we talking just regular opaques, or are we talking about the contrasts? I mean, if we were doing moonlit skin, I mean, I'd probably go with Oath Red and Gray, or probably Gray Sear now, as it's called, for the skin tone. And then I would thin out Drakenhof Nightshade. Thin that down, apply it as a recess shade into the facial features and, things like that. Or take a deeper color, like, say, Dark Reaper, thin that down into a recess, into a shade wash, using medium and Liquitex Flayed, or possibly even contrast thinning medium, and turn that into a shade wash and apply it onto the skin. And in fact, because using the contrast medium, because it applies in a slightly thicker state, might actually yield a slightly better gradient result. So, again, I mean, yeah. I guess really it depends on how moonlit are we talking about? Like, are we talking about like something really contrasty where it's going from black to white? Or are we just talking about really, really light skin that's kind of on the blue side of things? Because you're talking about muted dark blues and grays. And yeah, I mean, again, like there's a bazillion different directions we can go. So yeah, it's like, what, I guess really, like, what is the inspiration for this? Like, was it a bit of art that you saw and you said, hey, I like the way that skin looks. How can I do that on a miniature? Is it that kind of instance? Is there something in mind that you have? Was it Disco Duke, you dropped a picture in Discord General. All right, well, I'm going to head over to Discord General then. I don't see shit. Or you're going to. No, you said I've dropped. Past tense. Maybe it's the playground? No. 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 I don't see it, dude. I see Moonglow posting about he got his paints. I see a bunch of people talking in here. Stinky Diver. I can see Stinky Diver's talking in here. I don't know what he's talking about. Probably something crazy. I don't see what you're talking about. In Discord General, yeah. I'm in the Discord General. I don't see anything Disco. Fritz 21ZX. How does contrast work on cloaks? it works fine. You apply it to the surface and it'll fall within the recesses. If you've used a shade wash to do cloaks and tabards and stuff like that, that's how this is going to work. Leon Roston. Hi from South Africa. Hi. Well, welcome. Jorg. Oh, Jorg must ask something about something. Oh, Kris, how do you keep your brushes smooth for a long time? How do you clean them? Yeah, Master's Brush Soap, just like Lazy Monkey mentions here. Master's Brush Soap is the product I use all the time. Right here. Master's Brush Soap. It's great stuff. It's a solid. It's like a bar soap. Use it for your brushes. I use it for my oil paint brushes, my regular miniature brushes. I use the same thing. It works on both just fine. You know. I have many videos on brush care. Look them up. Mini Wargames Vault. I do have many videos on brush care. Although there is a video I do have in mind. I found a piece of paper I had. It was a do's and don'ts. And I've been thinking about, producing it. So, but I was thinking about making something funnier, Oh, Discord. Here we go. Okay. So, Disco is talking about this. You know what? Let's see if we can switch this over so everybody can see what the hell we're talking about here. That is what Disco is talking about. That picture right there. Okay? So that dark skin. So that's contrasty. It's very nice. Wonderful execution. Wonderful blends. So, you want to know how that's done? Or... what were you asking? Sort of muted dark tones, sort of moonlit style skin. So you just wanted to know how that's done? Is that what you wanted to know? Well, because the skin is reflective, so the person who's painted this has put in the reflected ambient light from the base coming upwards. So there is that. You'll see that color variance. It's a warmer tone in it. That, like, if I had to guess, you could use a color like Uthran Gray as a base, and then shade down using colors like what is it? Thunderhawk Blue, Dark Reaper, all the way to the point of where you could add just a bit of black to it. Stay within the gray-blue variants of it, because that's how that looks. But you'll see, like, down by, like, sort of the ribs, down by the bum and the ankle, you'll see there's a slight yellowing, and that's the ambient reflection coming up. That's what the artist has put there. But otherwise, yeah, the high points look like a light gray. Uthran Gray would probably be a good base. You could build it up to a white if you wanted to. In the very darkest recesses, it's pushed all the way to a black, so you can push that all the way to a black. And to achieve that transition of color, I mean, whatever way you're comfortable with. Feathering, two brush blending, you could even glaze it, I suspect this is probably primarily glazed. It almost looks like it's glazed. I don't know if I could see that actual picture. But the hand almost looks like it was done with an airbrush, but I'm sure that's probably glazed as well. But yeah, so hopefully Disco, I've got the model and wanted to emulate it. Okay. Then yeah, use that as a guide. That's most likely the colors I would use is Uthran Gray. Bring it up to a pure white if need be. Push the colors down with Dark Reaper and possibly even, I don't know if I'd go with Stegadon Scale Green, but yeah, probably Dark Reaper's enough, and then add black to Dark Reaper to push it down further to the point of almost pushing it to black. And you can almost go with pure black in the recesses. And again, it's not really about the colors; it's about the execution. What techniques are you most comfortable with, and how you're going to emulate the blends. Nathaniel, email time? Yes. Holy crap, 14 minutes left of the show. Yes, I better get to an email because it's email time. Lazy Monkey, I've had good results with Mona Lisa pink soap for brushes too. Yep. There are a lot of brush care products for artists out there. Plenty to choose from. Yeah. There's plenty. I like Masters. I've used Masters for many years. Yeah. Disco Duke, awesome as always, Kris. I'll keep you updated as I get going on it. Please do. Yeah, send me emails. Let me know how you're going. Take your time. Don't be in a rush. And again, like I said, it's achieving those blends. There's many ways to go about it. And it's really, again, we were talking in the beginning of the show of one or other. It doesn't have to be a one or other situation. You can do a quick 2-brush blend to achieve a certain amount of the blend, and then you can come in and glaze and fine tune the rest of the blend. It's entirely up to you how you want to go about it. But definitely work in a thinned out state so that, because you could end up just kind of building up those layers a little heavily, especially when you're glazing and stuff like that. And yeah. But yeah, really, if you can zoom in and examine the paint, I judging by that little photo, I can't quite see. Let me see. Let me see if I open up the original. Let's see what I get. Yeah, that looks like glazing to me. Like here, let me see if I can adjust the camera here. Let's go this screen. Yeah, so everybody can kind of see. I mean, I could be completely way off because, like I said, there's so many ways, and I mean the pixelation on the image is also kind of messing with how I'm perceiving this, because like as I'm looking at the blends, I think the pixelation is kind of throwing off and introducing an artifacting and then texturing, which I'm sure is probably not there. But you can see like up on the straps and everything like that, like the way they've painted it, that yeah, it looks like they're starting with lighter tones and building down. I suspect that's how this painter works. Whoever this artist is, I have no idea. They start with the brighter tone and then build downwards, and that is typically a better way to work, and it uses less like layers. If you can imagine, there's a cumulative layer point which you can reach on a miniature where it'll become too much paint on that surface and it starts to just look funny, versus, you know, wanting to keep things thin and, you know, allows you to do a little bit more, play within the spectrum, as it were. So yeah. Okay, so holy cramoles, let's do an email, because yeah, we got 10 minutes left of the show. 10 minutes left. Good gravy. If you've got headphones on, turn them up or down. But here it comes. Email time. Email time. This one is, oh man, why is this all messed up? There we go. This one is from Orc, the Grunt Orc. Hello, oh great monkey lord, and all the monkeys. I've made some progress on the Storm Raven wing lights and tried to do them as you suggested in episode 254. I'm not entirely sure, is the effect good, or should I try to adjust it somehow? Is there something that jumps out to the eye as disturbing in them, maybe? Or should I have some tips to make it better? You asked, did I have an airbrush handy? No, I don't. I've been trying to make the effect for Mechanicus Grey, Dawnstone, Admin Grey, Uthrin Grey, White Scar by wet blend and layering. The pictures are with clear plastic pieces that are going on the lights and also off, and lights on the lights and also off. Huh? So you can better see. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Okay. So you can see the light grays underneath the clear plastic or clear painted plastics. Thank you for your tips again in advance. I rarely get to see Way of the Brush live. You are providing the monkeys with a nice forum where to enjoy the hobby and to learn about painting. Thank you for your hard work. Well, thank you, the Grunt Orc. So let's have a look at his efforts. As you may recall, the Grunt Orc was trying to achieve a glowing light look. And so I'm assuming here it is with the clear bit on top. And he's going from a dark gray to a bright white to create that transition in that light you see. And here I think it works. I think he could have probably pushed a bit more white. See, that looks like a red light. Now, I realize in person it might look brighter. It might look a little bit more subdued. I'm not sure. But in this picture, I get the impression that there's a light in that center. I think you could have used a bit more white in that portion. I think the darker points could be pushed a little further into the recesses, like into the outer edges of that space, and utilize more of the lighter gray tones to the white to create that little impression. Let's have a look. So that's, yeah, see, so that looks really bright like that. And then when you throw that clear bit on, yeah, that really subdues the effect, eh? Huh. But very, very good. I mean, in theory, you've succeeded. And now it is just pushing the variance. I mean, really, I guess really the important thing is, are you happy with it? Is this what you envisioned? Is this what you wanted? Because if it's not, then you can always come back and push the color a little bit brighter, a little bit darker. Here, go a little darker to the edges, a little bit more brighter and through the center. Or a little less, the opposite, right? So really, it's how do you feel about it? I think that looks cool. And that gives me the impression of a light in there without actually being a light, right? So let's have a look at the other one. See, it's a little bit different here. Because the green is probably a little bit brighter than the red. The red's a little bit darker. Here, I get the impression that it's a light, though. And he's done pretty much the same thing. So here in the green, no, I think you probably could stay with the same. Again, it is this the effect that you envisioned? Are you happy with this? I think this gives the impression of a light. I'm sure in person it probably looks a lot different than on camera. Because the camera illuminates all the bright edges of the armor, of the rest of the model. And, you know what I mean? Like, and whereas the camera perceives that and you see that in relation to everything, and it makes everything kind of brighter and you see everything all at once, right? Whereas if you're looking at that in person, the little light, especially on the dark wing, probably looks a lot brighter. But the big question is, are you happy with it? Is that what you were looking to achieve? I probably, with the green one, I'd probably clean up the edges a little bit. Come in very carefully and just clean up some of those little outer edges and push it. Yeah, because you see how like there's that little lip, and then where the dome shape of the light portion comes in, and you put the glass over it, right? I'd probably clean that lip up around that portion so it just looks a little neater. Yeah. I mean, it looks great to me. I think that is that not what we talked about? I think your execution of it was great. I'm not sure anything else. I guess really the big question is are you happy with it? Are you here today? I don't even know. Keiko Bedell, hi. The contrast is possible to use on the vehicles of World War II. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Lay a primer down, and you can use the contrast. I was actually thinking about doing a, not bolt action, the smaller one. Flames of War. Yeah, I got some Flames of War dudes. I was going to show the contrast on that, and, kind of going for a bit more realistic kind of tones. But I think that can be achieved anyway with just the colors. And just, yeah. But yeah, I've got a few of the little Flames of War models, and I was thinking about showing. But yeah, you can totally use it. The contrast paints are just water-based acrylics. They're just paint. The only thing is about them is that they're transparencies, so the color will play through the surface. That's the big thing about these paints. Goffson Elite. Hello, I'm painting Warhammer Mini 1 month ago, and I was wondering how necessary it is to use a spray primer. Can't you paint directly onto the plastic? You can, but you have to put a few thin layers down. We were talking about it earlier in the show about, using the base paint as a primer, base layer. You can. But most primers are specifically formulated for that task, because when they dry, they often have a more of a matte type finish, which allows the paint to grab hold of. The big part about spray priming, though, is that, oftentimes, especially when dealing with color primers, is people often tend to over-prime a model. Over-priming looks like the surface has become really rough and sandy, like it does if the model feels like really dusty and sandy, and you're finding that the paint's rubbing off on your fingers like a dust almost, then you've over-primed. That can be kind of mitigated by just giving using like a plastic toothbrush kind of thing, and just lightly brush the model. You can pull off a lot of the surface. You could use a light abrasive scouring pad kind of thing, something like that, to lightly pull off that layer of paint. It still builds up in the recesses, though. It all depends. I mean, if you're going for a good standard of model, yeah, you're better off just stripping it. If it's like tabletop and you're just looking to get 500 of them done, I really wouldn't stress it too hard, but just recognize the fact that, yeah, it was over-primed, and, you're going to have some troubles there. Because basically when you over-prime, what ends up happening is the primer acts like a really broad paper. It's almost like if you ever use a regular drawing or writing paper, like, school, like in your binders and stuff, and you're writing, if you ever see how ink reacts on it, where it just flows on the surface and doesn't really penetrate the paper very well, but then use like watercolor paper and use ink on that surface, and you see it just goes and it just bleeds into the paper and everything like that. That's what over-primed surfaces look like. You'll see the color, especially if it's thinned out, and you apply it, and it goes all over the place. And you'll find that the primer will pull that layer down, and the primer will still show up pretty much on the surface. It's really kind of a pain. It's a pain in the ass. But you should always be priming. It's just a good habit to be in, to prime the model. Just don't over-prime. And like Kris always say, if you want the colors bright, prime it white. If you're going for dark, then obviously prime with dark colors. Or light gray. Light gray works both instances. On board G1, primer helps the paint to adhere to the mini. Yes. They're often designed to adhere strongly to a mini, and then paints are designed to adhere to the primer. Otherwise, it can chip off. Yes, but then some primers have been known to chip off models as well. You find that a lot with metal models. You don't find it so much these days with the plastic minis, as a lot of people are using the styrene plastic, like the GW plastic models. You don't really hear horror stories about the paint chipping off too much. Sometimes you will, and that's usually because the model's been handled a lot. So there's like that barrier of oil. That's a possibility, or possibly the primer's pooped. It was a bad batch, often gets the blame. Manufacturing, right? Quality control is not met. But yeah, priming is important. Priming is important, especially if you're doing a lot of models. If you're looking to do like a whole army or something like that, yeah, prime all those models. Because when you simply just lay the paint on top of the plastic, I mean, like you can see, like a regular miniature, you can see the surface is smooth and shiny. And if you've ever tried to lay paint on a smooth surface, if you try to lay it down on glass, it doesn't cover very well. You lay the paint down, especially if you're working in fairly thin coats, the paint will just bloop, bubble, like just beads right up, right? You see it all the time on a lot of things. There are additives to change the surface tension of paints, but I mean, if you're asking me about if it's necessary to prime your model, then I'm going to guess you're pretty new to this, and I would get into the habit of properly cleaning the model and priming the model properly, as well as laying a good, even, smooth base coat. Those are the three fundamentals that Kris always goes on about. Keiko Badell. Yes, Flames of War. Yes, Flames of War. Yeah. So I've been thinking about doing a little model showing off Flames of War using Crackle Media, using contrast paints on that. Just a show. Bobby McGee, love the stream. What rack are you using for your paints? These are just nail polish. You can go on Amazon and look up nail polish. I think I have the link somewhere. If somebody has this link, feel free to post or join us in Discord, and we share all sorts of info in there as well all the time. And yeah, because myself and somebody else bought some of these, and I like them. I just don't have enough. I need another rack because I have more paints, and now that I have the contrast and everything like that, yeah, I need more. I need more space. More space. Goffson the Leet. Thanks for the in-depth answer, Kris. No problem. All right, let's do it. Holy crap, it's already past 2. We got to hurry up here. No more goofing around, people. No more goofing around. It's time to button up. Let's do another email. This one is from our good buddy, Andy Clark. Hello, Kris. Andy from Arizona, sending you some pictures to show off to the monkeys. Sorry, there will be a light box next time for my photos. Let me know what you think. I feel bad that I haven't caught a show in a while. Abaddon was based with Lead Belcher, then layered with 2-to-1 blend of Waystone Green Technical and Soulstone Blue Technical. Saw this color scheme on the internet and had to test. The sword was a test too. Used Spiritstone Red Technical over Lead Belcher. The Dark Angel models are Caliban Green with a layer of Warpstone Glow and Moot Green highlight. Hopefully I'll have more to come. The Aquilas are with a 1-to-1 ratio of Abaddon Black and Mournfang Brown, then layered with Ushabti Bone and highlighted with Screaming Skull. Hope everyone has a good day. Thank you, Andy. And so let's have a look at Andy's Abaddon. I said look at it. How come it's not letting me click on the picture? What the F? Why isn't it letting me click on the picture? Okay. Haha. Why won't it let me? Oh, it's gonna make me download this? Are you freaking kidding me? Is this one picture? The icons only show up for one thing. Okay, I'm freaking downloading this. Normally I wouldn't do this. It's just for that one picture. What the F? Oops. Piss off. I'm not sure why this is doing this. Open the photo, another tab. No, it's a tiny ass photo. This is stressful. I like the Abaddon. I'm afraid this is the size of the picture as it's going to get. I don't know why I cannot click it. Normally I click the picture and it shows up. Maybe because they're small? I don't know. It's very interesting. I like the metallic turquoise almost. It's almost like Sons of Horus, right? Because I know I've had a few questions about doing Abaddon or doing Sons of Horus with the contrast colors. It's very nice. Of course, we got some Primaris Dark Angels. Very cool. Wish I could click on them. Edge highlighting looks nice and neat. One thing I would suggest is the barrels. Drill out the barrels. Drill out the barrels. But yeah. Very, very cool. Thank you, Andy, for sending that in. I'm not sure what the heck happened there. I don't know why. You know what? I'm going to try one thing here. I'm going to refresh this. Nope. Still won't let me do it. I don't know why I did that. It's got to be the way that email was formatted. And our last email is from Marcus, Nathaniel. Greetings, Kris and fellow Bunkai. Just finishing my tank project and wanted to show you the results. Unfortunately, the Land Raider is missing the electronics, smoke, lights, and sound. Because I didn't get the parts in time, I'll be either retrofitting the model or outfit a different Land Raider in the future. Maybe both. And make it an RC project. Ooh, the expenses. They're table ready, therefore the paint job might be sloppy in some areas. Anyway, I hope you like them. CNC is welcome as always. Until next time, salutations, Nathaniel. And so let's have a peek at Nathaniel. Peace. And let me adjust camera here. Oh, there we go. That's a better one. All right. Very cool. Like the weather. Interesting color. I see like oranges and yellows at play. The OSL, it feels brighter on the hull than it does in the lamp. I think I would go brighter in the lamp and less on the hull. And also, too, that lip below the light would not gather there. Light travels in a straight line, and that lip would be obscured from that perspective of the lamp. I know you see it a lot of miniatures where they're done like this, and it looks like this. And it's annoying because that's not how it would gather. Also, too, where you place the light on the lamps, where that spot of white is, it's in the wrong spot. It's off the side from the light. It should be more, like on the right-hand side, it should be more on the right. And on the left-hand lamp, it should be more on the left. Right? Because the light is coming from that lamp. So, something to be mindful of in the future. I dig the weather. Now, what is that red? Because I see red and yellows at play. What is that? It almost looks like there's like a color shifting going on. Because I could see like even like almost like magentas and yellow. Is this a color shift? Is that what you used? Nathaniel, are you still here? Nathaniel, I'm guessing that they zip archive. Gmail lets you preview the content but not to use the overlay pop-up. Yeah, I'm not sure what the hell that was. Andy Clark, yeah, it was my crappy phone. Must have been the problem. Yeah, when you're writing the email, if you can just send the pictures as attachments. But, of course, you can always post on the Discord. And that way we can get a nice big look at it. But, yeah, Nathaniel, like, what is going on with this color? Or is it a red and you lay down yellow and you threw magenta on top? Is that what you did? And why is it in a tray? All of these questions need answers, Nathaniel, please. I need... Nathaniel, corn red, then clear red, then dry brushed with bone white. Ah, okay. Very, very interesting. Okay. So corn red, then clear red. Any particular reason why you went with the red and then the clear red? I mean, it yields a nice rich red, but I could see so much yellow at play. Where does that yellow come from? The clear red. Because you said corn red, then clear red. Dry brushed with the bone. Because obviously the dry brushing neutralizes a bit of the oversaturation of it. Whereas if you went with like oranges or whatever, then this would have looked really, really bright red, you know? But you went with the corn red and then the clear red. But I see yellows at play at it. Or is that just a trick of the camera? Oh, this is an entirely different model. Yeah, I wouldn't push that glow that far down the hull either. Personally, I get really bored of all these OSL effects. It's getting kind of overdone. But I think it's a really nice paint job. Your dry brushing looks really good. I think in the future, I don't think you need to push the dry brushing all the way around surfaces. I think, concentrating brighter dry brushing along the uppermost surfaces or even the lower surfaces might yield a much more visually interesting result. Yeah, why do I see... No, I see a magenta. I'm looking at the driver or the rider there, the gunner. And that's a magenta. What red were you using? Nathaniel, the tray was because I was spraying protective varnish on him. Ah, okay. Nathaniel, pushing the edges, the clear red from Vallejo turns out orangey and yellow must be from that. Yeah, that's interesting because yeah, I'm looking at this picture here. Now maybe it's just the way it looks in the pictures. But yeah, because like I see a lot of magenta on this picture. Like the gunner, I can see like those edges look almost pink, like a magenta, right? But I can see on the hull, I can see still the reds, and I can see yellows. Which was why I was thinking that maybe you use the color shifting. But very cool. Nice and neat. Yeah. I like he. He's in a tray again. Yeah, I'm digging it, man. Yeah, it's just a very interesting color variance on the surface. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think as long as you keep using it, you'll maintain a consistency throughout your army. And I think, I think maybe that's the greater goal here, I think, to strive towards. The rider is corn red, the bone white pushed it towards pink. So did you laid the corn red and then dry brushed the bone and then put the clear color on top? Is that what you're doing? Because the way I first was initially reading this was it was corn red, then clear red, then dry brush bone white. Or did the clear mix with the dry brush and kind of reactivate it? Is that what happened there? So many questions. But very, very cool. I like it. The OSL effect on the lamps. Yeah, I think when you're doing that, think about where that light is. So imagine like even the Land Raider. You only have the one instance of light, yet both lamps are painted to the same standard. And I think, to achieve that kind of realism for that OSL on there, you got to create the two sources on the hull. And definitely I would push those lamps to be a little bit brighter. On the grills, I would leave them that shade, but inside the lamp itself, I'd push the color up a bit more. Because it's supposed to be like that's a light source, so it's got to be white. The only way we can represent that with paint is by pushing all the way to either like a pure yellow or a pure white. Will give that impression of a light sourcing. So hopefully, Nathaniel, that kind of helps. Thank you for sending that in. I think it looks great. It's very interesting. And as long as you are consistent with your technique as how you're applying this color over all of your miniatures, you'll maintain a consistent look. And, yeah. Very interesting. Very cool. And I'm sure a bit of that way that color variance was the way it's perceived is because of the photography. But, if you're happy with it, that's all that matters. If you like the way that looks, it's all that matters. It's all that matters, man. So if you're happy, I'm happy. And if I'm happy, you're happy, everybody's happy, then everything should be okay in the universe, right? So, awesome stuff. Okay. We're a little bit over. Droid Skull. Who's Land Raider? That is Nathaniel. He's in the chat right now. Jorg thinks it looks great, and I think so too. I think it looks really good. I like the dry brushing. I think next time, how you kind of have like a uniform dry brushing over the surface. Next time, try a slightly darker color over the entirety, and then with that brighter color, go for just the top edge of the subject or the bottom edge of the subject. Just pick a direction, either the top or it could be the front, the back, whichever way. but typically it's the top because the lights are, you know what I mean? Like, so if you dry brush just the top edge with the brightest color, but you still had like a little light dry brushing along the edges with a slightly darker color, you know what I mean? So like, if you took the base tone, but see, you have, just try a variance in the brightness. Enforcer, I've got to head out. Work keeps picking up slowly. Later, Kris. Later, monkeys. I'll see you on Discord. Later, duder. Nathaniel, the rider wasn't painted with the clear red, only the tank hulls. I guess a reactivation of paints must be it. Yeah, if you lay down color and then dry brush or lay down another color and that color all of a sudden physically mixes with the two. The only instances I ever find that is with some paints that are kind of alcohol based. Like the ghost tints, I find that you have to seal before laying other colors on top, as otherwise if you lay a wet color on top of it, it reactivates and will mix. I've had it happen a few times on me, and I thought I sealed properly, and there was a space where it wasn't, and I applied color down, and all of a sudden it mixed, and I was like, son of a. So yeah, definitely something to watch out for. But I mean, you gain that experience as you play with colors, and as long as you're consistent about how much paint you're using and what you're doing, how you're applying it and where you're applying it, you know what I mean? And as long as you're consistent in those regards, you'll always be able to troubleshoot yourself as far as when something weird happens. And you go, okay, well, I always do this the same, I always do this the same, and I always do this the same. But I introduced this one little thing here. I wonder if that's what it was. So then you go back and you do what you consistently did before, without that new element, and you go, yeah, that's the result I usually get. It has to be that new element, right? And that's how you troubleshoot yourself when you're going through procedures. Another way of making sure of consistency is to keep a journal of your efforts. It's been a while, but yeah, I keep this little journal. Color swatches. I'll take a little bit of paint, and throw it down, and I make a note of color mixtures, and there's the last one here. Yeah, so like when we come back to our one project, I already know where we're at as far as mixtures and what color I'm looking for, and you know what I mean. And so yeah, it's how you maintain consistency, and maintaining consistency is one of the best ways you will grow as a painter, as a miniature painter, or even as an artist itself. Is maintaining consistency, especially when you're concerned with improving. When you actually have a desire to improve, you'll want to be more consistent. Mikey R, a yellow or orange glaze would depink it. To depink it, a yellowy orange would work. Yes, I'm just thinking about yellow, like a pure yellow, probably on top of the magenta. Yeah, would depink it, but then you wouldn't want to push it too far, because then you'll see more orange. So yeah, because it all depends on how pink that is, right? And I mean, we're perceiving it one way on this computer screen, and the way the picture looks to his eye, it might look pretty normal, right? It might not be pushing that far magenta, right? So Nathaniel, I need to buy a new journal. The old one is full. Yeah, exactly. Nice. You got a full journal? That's good, man. Very good. Very good. Yeah, Mike, you don't want to mess up your careful model. Yeah, you don't want to mess it up. Like I said, like, again, there's so many variances of what could be happening there, right? It's all about how we're perceiving it. It's all how we're perceiving it on the miniature, on our monitors. It's how he took the picture, right? There's so many variables in there that, that can affect the way we interpret the paint job. And the only way we can properly interpret it is if we're consistent about how we take pictures and how we're looking at the computer screen, and what colors are what. And if we all know that when he says he used corn red for that, we all know what corn red looks like, right? But mind you, though, he used clear red? I would assume a Vallejo one. Yeah. The clear reds from Vallejo, I've used their transparents, and they're not very transparent. They're more opaque. But whatever. Rick Vaz. First time here. I try the new paints and they are awesome. Well, very good. Awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad you like them. Are you thinking about picking up some? Very cool. Is there a miniature in mind that you want to try them on? Again, very cool. And I think that's really the best way. A lot of people have been talking about these contrast paints. Oh, it's crap. Oh, this is cool. Oh, it's no good. You know what I mean? Don't listen to people. Don't listen to me. Try them out for yourself. Make up your own mind. I know there's people out there who are not very close to anywhere where they're having demos and stuff like that of this new paint. And so, either, take a listen to what everybody's saying. Again, mix and match what information, you really want to listen to. And I mean, if you're that curious about these paints and you think that this might be something that could help you in your future projects, then buy a few. Try one or two. If you don't like them, you don't have to use them. You know what I mean? It's not like you bought the whole set. Nobody's telling you to go buy the whole set. So, yeah. Angelo Savanti. Hi, Kris. Hi, Angelo. Nathaniel. Vallejo Clear Red. Very translucent, in my opinion. Yeah? See, I have a I don't have it here. It says transparent. It's not transparent. And I have like transparent blue, the transparent green, and the transparent red. And they're not transparent. They're cloudy. They go on the miniature fairly clear, but they're not very clear. I don't know. And they don't feel that saturated. I wasn't terribly impressed with them. Like Tamiya, the clear colors from Tamiya, that's what I want when I want clear colors. That's what I want. I can pick up a canopy, like a clear bit of canopy, and apply that color on top of it, and I get clear green, I get clear red, I get clear yellow. You know what I mean? That's what I want. When I want clear colors, that's what I'm looking for. And when I was playing with the Vallejo clears, they did not do that for me. It's very hard for water-based acrylics to do all those things. Oftentimes, you know what I mean? Like good metallics, clear colors, those are often the dominion of alcohol and lacquer-based paints. So, don't feel bad, because you often have to go outside of water-based acrylics. And if you haven't used any of those other kinds of paints before, there is a small learning curve with them as well. So, Stephen Holmes, GW tells me to buy them all. Yeah, but you don't have to do as you're told. I mean, don't even have to listen to me. I'm not saying listen to me. If you want to buy them all, buy them all. If you got the resource to buy them all, by all means, buy them all. AJR, thanks for all your vids on the contrast. Really helps people form a good idea before purchasing. Yeah, I think so. I like them. Like I said, you don't take my word for it. Try them out for yourself. But personally, I think they're fantastic. Citadel contrast paints, I think they're fantastic. I was in love with them the moment I played with them. I liked them, and I immediately could see the possibilities of various things. And there are just so many things that you can do with these that it's hard to just spell it out in a simple sentence. I mean, would have to keep playing with it. And I'm sure as everybody else out there gets their hands on them, they're going to come up with stuff that I didn't even think of. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much possibilities. So much. And for brand new people to this hobby, inspiring them, motivating them to try and get miniatures painted is only a good thing. That's only a good thing. Just to start getting some paint on those miniatures, just start playing with the color and just seeing what you can do. It's a fairly easy system to get fairly decent looking miniatures on the tabletop. The only reason to have gray armies now is because you're completely lazy, which honestly is unacceptable at this point. It's unacceptable because, one, airbrushing made painting super easy, and now Citadel has created the contrast paint system, which makes getting models painted so they kind of match your armies or match the colors of already established color schemes. Really easy. And I don't understand, why, like why, how anybody can think that this in any shape or form is bad. I mean, are idiots. They're idiots. They're idiots. Whatever gets people painting is good. Like, fundamentally, right down to the nuts and bolts of it. Whatever gets people painting their miniatures and ends the plague of gray armies, that's a good thing. Anyway. AJR, I bought all of them. Lots of potential for the effects. Love to glaze. Yeah, glazing. Just glazing alone. Just using, like, even as an advanced painter, using them as a glazing system, kind of a no-brainer. Yeah. Reese Taylor, I took your advice and bought all the browns. Love them. Yeah, like if you're just going to get a few colors, get the browns. The browns, like, that snakebite leather, man, that's my fave. That's my fave. Not because it's just old school name, but, sometimes I can't be bothered doing the pouches and gun straps and stuff like that. Whereas, bang, done. Boom. AJR, contrast paints are a new gateway drug. They kind of are. It's kind of like when crack cocaine hit the streets in the 80s. It's an awful analogy. It's almost 2:30. We're half hour over. Holy cramolies. So I think we're going to end it there. If you're attending live, feel free to ask your questions here. There are no dumb questions. You can ask your questions wherever direction the chat might be in for your window or whatever. I don't know. And of course, if you're not able to attend live, you can always ask your questions to Kris@miniwargaming.com. It's in the description below, as well as a link to wavethebrush.com. That has the links to all the social medias and the Discord, which has been fantastic. We usually head over to Discord after the show as kind of an after thing. I might head over there actually today because got a bit of time. As well as links on wavethebrush.com, links to t-shirts. Want to help the cause? Look like a connoisseur of all that is good and holy in this world. They're wearing a Way of the Brush t-shirt. And for everybody who's purchased themselves a shirt, send a picture of yourself in your shirt and I will add it to the Monkey Shrine, which is also on wayofthebrush.com, because it's a lot of fun and, it's great. Also, wayofthebrush.com also has links for Patreon support if you're considering supporting monetarily. Huge thank you to all my patrons who currently support me, and a huge thank you to anybody who's considering supporting me by Patreon. I only ever charge per episode of Way of the Brush, and I only do Way of the Brush typically every Saturday. Today is a special case, but typically it's every Saturday, so once every week. So I do produce other videos as well. I've been producing a lot of Just the Tips lately because everybody's been pretty curious about these contrast paints, so check out those videos as well. And of course, if you're not able to support monetarily, liking, commenting, subscribing, following, all that stuff, sharing, that all helps as well. So, if you want to help and, of course, recently went past 10,000 subscribers. I've been meaning to make a video. I've just been so busy lately with other stuff that I have not gotten a chance to sit down, because I've been meaning to reshoot Patreon intro video. I've been meaning to reshoot my channel intro, and I've been meaning to shoot a thank you for hitting the 10,000 subscriber mark. Actually, I think by the time I'm talking about this, I'm like nearing 12,000. So, so big thank you to everybody who currently watches and who's watching this after the fact. And maybe it's 2025 and you're watching this episode. Huge thank you for you to tuning in and, listening to me jabber on about stuff. Waythebrush.com also has links for Patreon. Mention that. Thank you. Oh, Guy Mirror, aka Carl, aka Beer and Blood Bowl. That's his YouTube channel. Check him out if you love yourself some beer and you love yourself some Blood Bowl. Check out Beer and Blood Bowl. That's his YouTube channel. We always say thank you to Carl for taking the time out of his busy schedule to create the email jingle that plays before the email segments. And so, big thank you to him for putting a smile on our faces and making life just a little bit happier with silliness. I think that's it. No other comments pressing, right? AJR got 3 bottles of medium for glazing. Whew. Nice. Sorcerer Dave, I assume Pablo Escobar won't be smuggling contrast into the country inside bags of flour. No. I don't know. I can't say. Maybe. Might be. Could be. Possible. You know what? I'm out of coffee. I gotta get a coffee. We're done here. We're done. We're done here. So I thank you guys for tuning in today. Hopefully we learned something. We didn't play too much with contrast today. I was expecting we'd do a little bit more. I don't know. I might keep them on hand. I mean, I usually do my show from my lair here, which is in my house. I mean, if anybody has any particular questions, maybe in an email you want to write, and maybe there's something you want to see, live demo. But I mean, otherwise, you know, yeah, we tested out today. What did we test out? We tested out the storm shield, and yeah, like look at it. We did it on the front of the tank. I don't see anything. You see anything? Looks nice and dry. It's matte. Looks all the same, right? It's uniform. I can kind of see where I laid some brush strokes down, but it's not a biggie. I mean, if you don't want brush strokes on your model, use a spray can or an airbrush, right? So, anywho, go Starman Deluxe. Just sitting down to eat dinner and the show ends. Yeah, and on that note, take care of your brushes. They'll take care of you, and I will see you guys in the next exciting episode of... What's this show called? Oh yeah, Way of the Brush. Why are you still here? Go play with some contrast paints or go paint a model. Maybe assemble something. Maybe hug a loved one. Did you say happy Father's Day to your dads? Did you? I couldn't. Mine's dead. So I couldn't say happy Father's Day. And you only ever have one dad, so... Wait, do you? Yeah, you only ever have one dad. Well, okay, you might have multiple dads. But you only ever have one guy who, you know, his DNA is part of you. So, yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with any of that. But anyway. I got nothing. I'm tired now. I need more coffee is what I need. I need more coffee. Go start my deluxe. F. Just F. F. Go work on something. Stop. Turn off YouTube. Turn this off. Or Twitch. Whichever one that you're watching this on. Go. Now. Go now. You're still here. Why? Is this like when you're talking to somebody? It's like, okay, you hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. Is this like is that what's going on here? Is it that kind of situation? Seriously, okay, go now. Off. Go.